We are live. We are live. We are live. I am Dr. Frita, and this is Medical Monday. It's Medical Monday, where we give you all of the hot health topics in the headlines. And yes, as usual, we have a wonderful evidence-based show for you today. We'll start off with my favorite game, Myth versus Fact, because I want to know, can your resort drink be toxic? Yes, there have been some people who are now unalive after enjoying some drinks, okay, some alcoholic beverages, and there's some toxicity, okay? Your drinks could be poisoned, actually. So we'll get into that, and we'll talk about myth versus fact. And then I'll give you your weekly dose, where I give you a fresh take on the hot health topics in the headlines you simply can't get anywhere else. We'll open up talking about RFK Jr., the head of Health and Human Services. You already know I tussle with him every week about what he's talking about with health. Now he wants fluoride to be out of the water supply. So we'll talk about that and its implications. And then we'll keep on talking about BBLs, Brazilian butt lifts. And I'll give you the stinky truth about BBLs. There was a young lady who went viral on TikTok because she said that BBLs stink, and she was standing by it. They were eating her up in the comments. But I want to talk to you about the truth about BBLs, and is it true? Can they sometimes smell? And what does that mean? Oh, we'll get into it in detail, and I'll get your feedback as well. And then we'll talk about Trump. President Trump thinks it's going to be a great idea if he now adds tariffs to pharmaceutical company supplies. Yes, if he starts adding tariffs. My question to you, will that affect how much you pay for your medicines? Okay, we'll get down and dirty and we'll talk about it. And then I'll give you a 5-minute health check where we'll just run through things that have possible recalls, certain infections that might be around here in the middle of outbreaks. I'll give you a 5-minute health check. And of course, we'll be interacting live. You can ask me some questions here, but if you want to ask me more questions, please be sure to join the membership, where we have our monthly members only live Q&A. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and get started, because I have a great evidence-based show for you today. I'm Dr. Frita. This is Medical Monday. Hello, hello. We're live. I'm Dr. Frita. Welcome to Medical Monday, where I give you all of the hot health topics in the headlines. I don't do it alone. My co-host, Shador, and my practice manager, please join me on the stage. How are you doing, Shador?
I'm pretty good, Dr. Frita. How are you?
Doing well. We had a bit of a vacation last week. So how did the vacation go for you?
Vacation went pretty good. Made some milestones with the little one. You know how he is with water, but he covered in the pool this time around. So
he got in the pool. Okay, so he's playing t-ball. He's getting in the pool. He's been, fixing things like he's a mechanic around there, an Inspector Gadget. So that's really good. That's really good. We had a pretty laid back spring break. We did some fun things. We went to Top Golf, and my kids tried me because they were like, "Oh, Mom, you probably can't play golf." Really, my daughter, and she was laughing because she was like, "Oh, Mom, you're not going to be able to do anything," because they know I don't see the best. But look, I could see that white ball. I could figure out my mechanics, and look, I beat all of them. I was number one every time, and they are in shock. But they don't know I could do things. Don't try me with the ageism, kids. And then, of course, we had our different things, basketball tournaments, you name it. And went out to eat, just, had a nice little relaxing time. For those of y'all who are on IG and who are on Facebook, I also posted something I had never done before. Went to a chiropractor, got an adjustment. It wasn't even for me. It was just supposed to be for my kids. And it's actually my cousin, my first cousin, Dr. Ken McCrae. He is awesome. Shador, I didn't even know I was feeling any kinds of way. But by the time he did my adjustments and snap, crackle, pop my spine, I felt like $1,000,000, and so did my kids. So yeah, Dr. Ken McCrae, Complete Care Solutions in Smyrna, Georgia. I recommend him to anyone, Dr. Ken McCrae. But yeah, we had a laid back time. Now let's see how the rest of the world did, Shador, as we get into these health headlines. But first, who was the first? A very patient person waiting in the chat.
Miss Aline. Hello, Miss Aline.
Hi, Miss Aileen. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone who's here for the live chat. And of course, thank you to my replay crew. Do we have Facebook and Instagram in the house, Shador?
They're here. No one's
All right.
changing.
Hello, Facebook. Hello, Instagram. Y'all don't be shy. Don't be shy. And if you want to join the memberships, then pop on over to YouTube. For those of you who are new to us, I am Dr. Frita. I am an MD. I'm a medical doctor. I've been board certified in nephrology. So I am a board certified kidney doctor and high blood pressure doctor. I have also had board certifications in internal medicine, pediatrics, and most recently, I became board certified in obesity medicine. So I like to talk a lot about a lot. I love to share medical information. And so that's what we do here. I give you evidence-based medicine. Oh, and this is not a spectator sport. We do back and forth. Oh, speaking of spectators, that's another thing. Amara was here. My oldest daughter, who's a freshman at FAMU, is a member of the chess team. Okay, I knew she was in the marching 100 and plays the trumpet. She's in the chess team, and they traveled here for the 3rd annual HBCU Chess Classic. So she was here in competition.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, it's different from AAU basketball. They did not even let me in the room because it had to be quiet. So they didn't let people in the room. So that was different, but it was good. I got a chance to see her.
Oh,
all
cool.
right.
So watch over large video screen. Is how they were you able to see it at all?
I know we left the building. No,
maybe they had it on the screen or something.
Perhaps maybe they had it in a screen in another room, but I never did figure that out. I want to be there, be like, go, Mara, move that chess piece. But apparently that's inappropriate.
Like golf, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you didn't do that. All right. Let me tell you what else is inappropriate, Shador. People poisoning folks' drinks at resorts. But there's been cases where we've had people, and 6 people were visiting Laos, and they all passed away, and they were found to have some toxicity, some methanol in their drinks. Okay. And so I want to start off and we'll talk about myth versus fact, and we'll get into how you really need to be careful when you are drinking drinks at resorts and other places, particularly in other countries, because it's a thing. I'll tell you why. So let's go ahead and get started, and then we'll play a clip after.
All right. Tainted alcohol is only found in small, sketchy bars in developing countries.
Put an M1 if that's a myth, an F1 if that's a fact. So if you go to some place that's high class, that's 5-star, are you fine? And is it true that tainted alcohol is only found at these little sketchy places, these lowbrow places? Put an M1 if it's a myth, F1 if it's a fact. You only have to worry about if you're going to these kind of sketchy places, really inexpensive places.
And as they're chiming in, Dr. Frita, shout out to our new member, Miss Elaine.
Welcome, Miss Elaine. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Listen, fresh off the press, just released a members only video for people if you're at the chief resident level. It's a video I'll be releasing to everyone else later on this week. But it's quite enlightening. It's a good one. So go ahead and check it out. Members only can see the video now. Everybody else, you'll be able to see it by and by. All right. Thank you for joining.
All right. Our second statement. Just 2 ounces of methanol contaminated alcohol can be fatal.
2 ounces. That's not that much. All right. Just 2 ounces of methanol contaminated alcohol. Can it be fatal? Put an M2 if this is a myth. Put an F2 if this is a fact. All right. Pencils down. Okay. Let's go back to that first myth versus fact question.
All right. Tainted alcohol is only found in small, sketchy bars in developing countries.
Small, sketchy bars in developing countries. Who said that's a myth and who said that's a fact?
So overwhelmingly, Dr. Frita, myth. No fact takers on this one.
No fact takers. Okay, throw out some names for me. Who are some of the people who said it was a myth?
Purple Onion.
Hi, Purple Onion. Welcome back.
Miss Aileen, of course.
Hi, Miss Aileen.
Karen.
Hi.
Kathleen. These are all myths.
All myths. Okay. So you are correct. It's a myth. It's not just in sketchy bars, not just in developing countries, not just in low-income countries. Even at resorts or places that you think are really nice and sophisticated, there can be and have been contaminated beverages. And so you really need to be careful, and we'll talk about how. All right. Let's see if I can get them on this next one. Shador.
All right. Just 2 ounces of methanol contaminated alcohol can be fatal.
Just 2 ounces can be fatal. M2, you have any M2s if they thought that was a myth, or any F2s if they thought that was a fact? Just 2 ounces can be fatal.
So, Chris, Hello says
Hi,
it's a
Chris.
fact.
You said it's a fact. 2 ounces is not that much, Chris, but you think that can be fatal? Okay, who else?
Dimples
Hey,
says
Dimples. Says the fact.
it's a fact. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Miss Paula also says it's a fact.
Miss Paula. Okay, Miss Paula likes to be a med head at the head of the class. Hi, Miss Paula. Okay, she said it's a fact.
Laverne is going the other way on this one. She says it's a myth.
Ooh, Laverne. Okay, Laverne is like 2 ounces is nothing. How's that going to be toxic? All right, Laverne. We got a naysayer.
Karen agrees with Laverne. It's a myth.
Karen says that's a myth. So she doesn't think 2 ounces will actually be fatal. Like that's a bit much. All right. So the answer is drum roll, drum roll. It's a fact. As little as 2 ounces of methanol can be fatal. And get this, as little as 25 milliliters, which is less than an ounce, can be fatal. Anywhere from 25 milliliters to 90 milliliters, okay? 90 milliliters. So anywhere from less than an ounce to 3 ounces can be fatal. So we'll get into it. Let's play this clip and then let's talk about it. And I want you to share in the chat, also in the replay crew, if you've ever had an experience where you think that your drink could have been kind of contaminated, even if it's with a date R drug, or if someone put a roofie in it, or if you know of someone who's dealt with a drink where they think something was in it. Put that in the chat, please. Okay.
Several tourists reportedly died after drinking tainted alcohol while vacationing overseas.
It's usually in underdeveloped countries, mostly. Folks are looking to make more money. And one of the ways to do that is to dilute their alcohol, take an expensive alcohol and add what they're adding to it is called methanol. It's a type of alcohol. It smells very similar, looks very similar, but the problem is about 2 ounces will kill you. A quarter of an ounce can make you go blind.
So what does that look like in terms of protecting yourself? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, one of the things, and this is interesting, is don't drink while you're on vacation. And a lot of people are doing that now. But watch your drink being made. Look at the label. Does the bottle look right? Does it look like the same color that you're normally seeing? Those sort of things. So pay attention to that. And then in your mini bar, make sure nothing's been pre-opened. That's another area
you don't
where
want it tampered with at all.
No tampering, no weird labels.
Also to use your better judgment.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't look right, smell right, trust that.
I always say, don't get vacation brain.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, so there you have it. So yeah, some people have actually passed away. Has anyone put any comments yet? And if they know of anyone where they think their drink has been messed with, contaminated, any bad experience when they've gone on vacation?
Yes,
okay.
I remember Miss Rosalind.
Hi, Miss Rosalind. Thank you for being a member.
Back in my club days, and one of my friends left her drink unattended. She took a sip, felt a little funny. Today's day, I don't drink and didn't drink dinner and don't leave my drinks unattended.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's amazing what people will do. I'm sorry that happened to your friend. And, and with some of the later things that have been, that at least, Diddy, Sean Combs has been accused of. We don't know. It's all alleged right now. When people talk about the date drug or drink their drinks and they describe themselves as feeling lightheaded. Again, it's all alleged, but these are things that have happened back in the club days, are happening now. But that's really important what you said, Ms. Rosalind. The take-home message is if you have a drink and you have to get up, run to the restroom, then you're done with that drink. Do not leave your drink unattended because you don't know who might slip something in it. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else?
No.
Okay. So yeah, so they're talking about methanol. That's what's found. So what in the world is methanol? Okay, so it is a type of alcohol. It's a toxic alcohol. And there are 3 types of alcohol. Ethanol is the only one that is approved for drinking. So when we talk about drinking alcohol, having your margarita, your pina colada, your whatever you have, we're talking about ethanol. But the other 2 types of alcohol are methanol, also called wood alcohol, and isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol is rubbing alcohol, which you get in the little white bottle with the little blue label. Okay. But as far as methanol, why in the world would someone put methanol instead of ethanol in a drink? Because it's cheap. Simple as that, because it's inexpensive. And it's being found, especially in places that aren't regulated, in some results, some different countries. And even, of course, in this country, United States, they're finding methanol. And people are doing that because initially with methanol, if you drink it, you will get similar effects of alcohol as far as being intoxicated or inebriated. Okay. You might have a decrease in inhibition. You might want to be the party. You might feel good. You might have that buzz. You can have that with methanol and ethanol. The difference is that methanol will break down into formaldehyde and formic acid in your body. And these substances are toxic to your optic nerve, which is why if you drink methanol, you can go blind. Okay. Also toxic to other parts of your central nervous system. So with methanol toxicity, yes, you can go blind. You can also get headaches, abdominal pain, confusion. You can go into a coma. And as with what's happening now, you can lose your life. It's a real thing. So very much be careful. And so, if you have people who are in their club days, even if they're very grown and in their club days, please encourage them to be careful as far as drinking. Don't drink at sketchy places. And even if you're drinking at a place that's considered to be not sketchy, pay attention to who's making your drink. Look at the bottle that they're getting it from. Is it misspelled? Does it look like somebody kind of did their own mixing and matching? Be very careful because methanol toxicity is a real thing and people are passing away. We're in spring break season, right, Shador? A lot of people going on cruises, running around, just drinking whatever people are giving them. Please be careful, okay? Because yes, your drink can be toxic if someone puts something in it. All right. So let's move on to the weekly dose. Okay, this is where I give you a fresh take on the health and the headlines that you simply can't get anywhere else. All right. So where shall we start, Shador? The one I like to tussle with? I think so.
Which one is that?
RFK Jr. Okay, y'all know our new head of the Health and Human Services. Because of course, these are health headlines and I'm doing evidence-based medicine. Anywhere I find where that evidence is being challenged or when someone's outright giving misinformation, I call it out, even if it is in the White House. So in the case of RFK Jr., let's do a quick little review of our track record. We opened up with him giving false information about vaccines, saying that the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine caused autism. That has been debunked, okay, completely. And so he was wrong with that. And he actually came around because last Sunday, RFK Jr. actually made a statement that the best way to prevent measles was to get vaccinated. Hello, all the scientists already knew that, but he came around, so I'm going to give him that. But then he has been still just spewing more things that are not so good, not exactly accurate. Right now, RFK Jr.'s latest thing that he's going for is fluoride in our water. He wants to have fluoride removed from water. Let's play that clip. Let's play that clip. For those of you in the chat, tell me what you think about fluoride in the water. Why do you think it's important, or why do you agree with him that we should get rid of it?
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to stop recommending fluoride in America's drinking water. On Monday, Kennedy praised Utah for becoming the first state to ban fluoride in the water supply and said he hopes other states follow suit. The Environmental Protection Agency also said it would work with the HHS to review the effects of fluoride. Now, Kennedy has made multiple claims about fluoride being linked to several health issues, but many experts say it is safe and has proven benefits for dental health. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder joins us now. She's also editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. So, Doctor, thank you for joining us on this. Why was fluoride added to the water in the first place, and does it still matter today?
So this was something that was observed in the early 1900s, that communities where there was naturally occurring fluoride, those communities had lower rates of dental issues, lower rates of cavities. And yes, it does still matter today, even with having fluoride in the toothpaste, mouthwashes with fluoride. Even with that, we see a 25% reduction in risk of cavities among both adults and children if they have fluoride in the water. 75 million Americans do not have dental insurance. And if you're a child in a lower income family, you are at 3 times higher risk of having dental issues. So this is both a health issue as well as an economic issue.
There you have it. All right. Anyone in the chat feel any kind of way about fluoride in the water and what they think about it? It is really important to remember that there is a reduction in cavities, dental cavities, if we have fluoride in our water supply, which we do. Okay. So let's talk about fluoride. Of all of the health issues that we have, medication prices, heart disease, the obesity epidemic, diabetes epidemic, of all of the health problems that we have, fluoride is the one that he is highlighting, and there really is no there, so it seems. Is there such thing as fluoride toxicity? Sure, it's possible. It's possible, but you would have to have like 4 milligrams of fluoride per liter of drinking water, and the CDC recommends just 0.7 per liter. And so we really have very safe amounts. We have very safe amounts in our water. And even with the EPA, the Environmental Protective Association, they have a bit more liberal allowance of fluoride. It's still not at toxic levels. And so you take that and you realize that fluoride can help to decrease cavities, especially when you're dealing with 75 million Americans with no dental insurance. This is at least helping to prevent dental caries. And dental caries or dental cavities is not just about having a yuck mouth because you don't brush. It's not just about having bad looking teeth. If you have poor dental care and you have infections in the mouth, it can lead to infections in the entire body and even brain abscesses, very serious brain infections. And so it's an overwhelming health issue. There's even been a link in some studies with dental caries or cavities or poor dental hygiene and heart disease and inflammation in the body. So it's really a serious issue. And at least with fluoride in the water, that gave us that extra protection. Now that we're removing fluoride, starting with Utah and with the support of RFK Jr., I just don't know where we're going to go from here. But here's what I do know, Shador. He's talking about fluoride in the water, where at the right level, it's helpful, and at an extreme level, it could be an issue. But can we talk about lead in the water? There's no level of safe lead, yet that's still a major problem right here in the United States. There are lead pipes in 9 million homes in the United States. And we know that lead can cause developmental delay in children. It can cause other issues. Even in adults, it can cause high blood pressure, confusion, inability to focus. Lead is a bigger problem. And so I'm curious why he's not tackling lead, which we know oftentimes there's lead in the water, lead in the soil, especially in places of low income, underprivileged places. Why not start there? All right. Let me know in the chat. Is anyone commenting on fluoride if they feel like it's a problem, or if they're just like, yeah. Any takers?
Laverne commented. She just says, I don't use toothpaste with fluoride.
Okay. But even if you do use toothpaste with fluoride, it's encouraged that you not swallow. Of course, you're going to swallow some amount of toothpaste, but that's why we definitely need to spit out toothpaste. And children need to be encouraged to get rid of the toothpaste. And then you're not using fluoride in the toothpaste. The water, if you're using your tap water, has fluoride, at least for now. So you still get that protection from dental caries.
Yeah. Okay. Trevian. Hi, Trevian. Trevian. He says fluoride isn't healthy if you have it in your water. It's in your toothpaste. Natural way is coconut oil. The U.S. always gives you something for one element and cause problems with something else. Baking soda. Baking soda is a better choice.
Okay. So, and there's truth in that. Oftentimes, like even with any medicine that you give, there's going to be, of course, benefits, and then there's always going to be side effects. Even with natural supplements, there's going to be benefits and potential side effects. With the fluoride, at least we do know, and it's studied, that in the small amounts, so at this point, this is absolute in the science, in the small amounts where we have the fluorinated water, when you're using the 0.7 the 0.7 per 1 liter unit of the fluoride, we do know that decreases cavities by 25%. That is significant, and there's no documented toxicity at that level. So do I agree that if you're doing fluorinated water, then if you have fluoride in your toothpaste, you should spit it out? Absolutely. Should you make sure that you're not around here taking fluoride supplements? Yes, I agree with that. There's a balance, but in low amounts, the fluoride is actually helpful, especially for children who do not have dental insurance and dental care. Yeah. So that's the evidence of it. Hi, Planet Life. Welcome back.
Can fluoride cause bloating or trap gas?
That's not something that's documented, especially not at low levels. Now, if you start getting into 4 milligrams or more of fluoride, one of the main toxicities that you'll see, white patches on the teeth that can turn yellow. And we know that the fluoride is absorbed in your body. Most of it's absorbed. Some you get rid of in urine. Children tend to absorb more than adults. And that's mostly absorbed in teeth and in the bones. Now, if you're taking fluoride supplements and you're eating your fluoride toothpaste, could it potentially cause an issue with all the absorption? Potentially. It's just not one of the routinely documented effects, especially not in the low levels that you find in the water, at least in the United States supply.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Frita.
All right. All right. So make sure you do your reading. Check out the CDC recommendations for fluoride. Check out the EPA. Because again, the CDC is stricter on the amount that they recommend to put fluoride in the water, and the EPA is more generous with it. The EPA said they will consider putting less, putting more restrictions, which that I can work with, that I can agree with. But getting rid of it altogether, it seems like you're creating a problem where it really doesn't exist, and ignoring, like, hey, look over here, don't look there. You're ignoring the underserved populations, the Black children, primarily, yes, brown children, children of low economic status. You're ignoring them with the lead poisoning. If you want to talk water, let's talk water, and let's talk where it's really affecting the underprivileged and the underserved. All right. Now, Shador, for this next topic, I know it seems like every time I come on here, practically, I'm talking about BBLs. I'm not, y'all, but hey, this is Medical Monday. Make sure you give us a like, please. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. We do give evidence-based medicine here, and we do talk about BBLs. Yes, we're about to talk about Brazilian butt lifts, because there was a young lady, K Montana. She's on TikTok at K Montana 24, I believe. She's on TikTok. She's out there. Okay, she's open. I'm not blowing her up. But she went viral because she talked about how she had a BBL. She and her sister went to get BBLs, and hers was leaking, and it was smelling really, really bad, putrid. In fact, she said it got to the point where even when she went into the restroom, like a public restroom stall, she would take air freshener because her BBL smelled that. It was just that horrible. She didn't want anyone else to smell it. She said that when she would wash her clothes, like she does every week, take them out the dryer, she would smell them, and they would smell just toxic. They would smell like just garbage, have fishy odor, all of that. And she said that she would pack her BBL scars, her wounds, with gauze to keep them from leaking, because she was leaking on her garment. Sometimes the wounds would close up, but then they would reopen. They would close up and they would reopen until ultimately, after a year of going through this with this horrifically, really just bad smelling BBL. This is her. She's saying it herself about her own BBL. She said that when she and her boyfriend were about to be intimate, just one day, he said, I can't take it anymore. And he left her. He said, you just smell too bad. He said, you smell too bad. So she said that her sit down area smells bad. So if you check her out, you'll be able to see her. She had like 3 parts or multiple parts of saying BBL stink. And then people started eating her up in the comments. They were like, no, BBLs don't stink. They were like, you just have poor hygiene. And they were just telling her all of these things. So y'all know me. I went and did a video about it to give y'all some facts, but we'll play my video. But first, I want you to tell me, do y'all think that BBL smell? And put that in the comments and tell me your experience. And then tell me what you think some of the cons are of BBLs. What are some of the negative? And give me some of the positives. People aren't getting BBLs for no reason. So there have to be some pros, right? If we're honest, there's a reason that people are leaving the country and risking their lives, because we know that BBLs are the most dangerous cosmetic procedure. So give me your BBL comments, and let's play my video, Shador, on the stinky truth about BBLs.
Vivica Fox was spotted wearing some.
Oh no, not that one.
Oh, that's the wrong link then, Dr. Frita. Give me 1 second here.
Let's see. Do you have it? If not, I can see if I can send it to you now.
Yeah, let's try.
Because y'all know I did one on Vivica Fox. We do not know if Vivica Fox has a BBL. To my knowledge, she has not confirmed having a BBL. Her bottom did look very big at some event, okay? But I took that opportunity just to talk about the pros and the cons of BBL. So you could look at that Vivica Fox video also when you finish this live. All right.
Do you hear me?
Do BBLs smell? I'm Dr. Frita, and here are 5 things to know. Number 1, BBLs can smell if you develop fat necrosis, which is when the fat tissue that's injected into your buttocks literally dies. So when you get a BBL, fat tissue is injected into your buttocks, below the skin and above the muscle. Well, sometimes some of these fat cells die. And when they do, they can release cellular debris and toxins, which can produce a foul odor. So if you develop fat necrosis, your BBL can smell. Number 2, if you develop a bacterial infection, your BBL can smell. The BBL procedure takes place right near the area where you make your bowel movements. And so it is very possible for fecal matter to come in contact with the surgical wounds. If this happens, then you can develop a bacterial infection, which can produce a foul odor. Also, if the person performing your BBL is not using proper sterile technique, your BBL can smell. In other words, if the person performing the procedure is not using properly cleaned or sterilized materials, if they're not using sterilized instruments, if they're not using proper gloves, proper masks, then that person can actually introduce bacteria into your body. And if so, you can develop sepsis or an overwhelming bacterial infection. And yes, this can produce a foul odor, which makes your BBL smell. 3, if you have poor hygiene, your BBL can smell. After you get the BBL, then your buttock region will be larger than it was before. That's your point, right? That's the desired effect. Well, when this happens, you might sweat more than you used to in between your butt and underneath your buttocks. And if you're not using proper hygiene for this increased amount of sweating, yes, your BBL can smell.
Okay, that's good.
No.
So y'all can see the rest of that. I have it right here on YouTube in a form of a short where you'll be able to see the rest of the things that you should know about the stinky truth about BBLs. But I will say, if your BBL is done correctly, you go to a board certified plastic surgeon at an accredited facility. No, a well-heeled BBL does not smell. Okay. So she had an unfortunate experience where she had a severe infection, sepsis. So hers did smell. And there are some other things that can cause it to smell as well. But in her case, what she described was an infection. So I don't want you looking at everybody with BBLs thinking that they stink or they smell. That's not the case. All right. Did anyone make any comments on BBLs if they think that, you know, they list any pros? I'm really curious if anyone said any pros. I feel like they do get a bad rep, especially since cosmetically, a lot of them, people get BBLs, they just want the hugest behind, but they don't match their slim thighs, their slim hips. So they're getting some really poor cosmetic work, I'll say. And if you're going to risk your life with the most dangerous cosmetic procedure, you at least want it to be aesthetically pleasing. But any comments, Shador?
Yeah, DH.
Hi, DH.
Commented, BBL are not worth it. I've heard too many horror stories. People have died. I'll stick with my non-existent behind LOL.
So you're gonna stick with what the good Lord gave you or didn't give you. Yeah, it's true. There is something to being happy in the skin you're in. And I'm all for people enhancing themselves if they want to do so in a safe manner. And if they're doing it for themselves, not just to impress some, you know, future boyfriend or some look or to be in a video or just to fit the norm or to be followers. You know, if there's something safe, you want to enhance your beauty, then go for it. The BBL seem to largely have gotten out of control. But I will say the ones that make the headlines tend to be the ones that are not done by board certified plastic surgeons, or they are the rare cases where even if you're a board certified plastic surgeon, you have a fatal outcome because, again, it is the most fatal cosmetic procedure that we have. But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of BBLs that are done, and they're done very tastefully. So if you don't know and you don't have a before or after, you wouldn't even know that some people had BBLs done. And so I say that so as not to completely demonize them. What I do discourage is people going to low budget, high volume facilities. It's recommended, and even some state guidelines, like in Florida, they have recommended in the past that physicians do no more than 3 BBLs in a facility. So if you're going to get a BBL and you find out that your surgeon does 10 in a day, 6 in a day, even 5 in a day, then you want to raise your eyebrows. Are you cutting corners to get that many BBLs done? And then when you look at the price of BBLs, they can be costly. Okay, anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000. Yes, where you're getting that follow-up, the aftercare, where if you have a leaking BBL or a BBL that smells, you can go right back to your surgeon. It's going to cost you to get that type of a BBL done. Now, if you're getting your BBL for $3,000, $5,000, that is very inexpensive relative to what board certified plastic surgeons tend to charge. And so you have to ask yourself, where I'm going, are corners being cut? Okay. And if you're traveling the country, they may have different safety and sterility protocols. In other words, what we say cleanliness is, if you go to a different place, they may not be regulated. So you might be dealing with some surgical instruments that are contaminated, not sterile, and get an infection introduced into your body. So you want to take these things into consideration if you're getting a BBL. Anyone else with any comments about BBLs, if they know anyone who's had a BBL? Or I want to hear if someone says, hey, leave us alone. BBLs are fine. You just have to be smart about it. Or if you, yeah. So, yeah, but clearly, you know, we have a culture where everyone kind of starts to look alike after a while, Shador. Like if you look at the video girls, you ever notice that after a while, everyone has a very similar hair, similar, very, very long lashes, you know, similar bodies, snatch, 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 tummy tucked, you know, it starts to look kind of cookie cutter. But that is that on BBLs. Yes, you can go ahead and watch the full short after you finish watching this live. And I have other videos on BBLs as well. I was once on a panel with Funky Dineva at Miss Funky BBLs. And one of the guests was someone who used to give butt shots. Yes, butt shots are illegal. She doesn't do it anymore. But she talked about some near fatal complications she had and how she even had to serve time for doing those. And then there was another guest on that show of a young lady who had already had 2 BBLs and was looking to possibly go in and get another one done or a revision. So check that out. Oh gosh, that was sometime late last year that we did that. All right, y'all, please go ahead and give us a like, and we will move on into our next
Dr.
topic.
Frita, we do have a comment from our IG.
Hey, IG. Hey, thank you. Oh, I'm glad you said IG while I'm on it. Listen, today at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to do an IG live with a good friend of mine. Look, we've been friends since we were 13. Tamara Oyenloye. She is an attorney at large. And, you know, I come on here a lot of times. I talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. And, you know, we've talked about Britt Eady, we've talked about Kenya Moore, and we've talked about the health aspects, like Britt Eady sharing that her dad passed away with a blood clot, her aunt passed away with a stroke. We've talked about the health aspects, but today on IG at 6 p.m., my friend Tamara Oyenloye is going to talk about some of the legal aspects. She'll talk about what is revenge P, what are the ramifications if the revenge P is of an underaged person. And we'll also talk about what constitutes a threat, like a threat with a firearm, with a pow. And all of that relates to Real Housewives. So that's today, 6 p.m. Monday, Eastern Standard Time. Okay, hey there, welcome from IG. Now, does our IG, what's her name? Who do we have?
We have Curly Coils.
Hi, Curly Coils. All right, any comments or just a hello, hello?
Hello, my friend got a baby makeover done and almost died from sepsis, or a mummy makeover. I'm sorry, mummy makeover.
See, Curly Coils, and it is a trip because you understand that kind of postpartum feeling, right? You know, your body is not exactly what it was. Now, some people snap right back, especially the younger you are having a baby. But especially if you breastfeed, then oftentimes your breasts won't have the same perk after the baby. Even if you get back to your weight, sometimes you might have extra skin or extra fat in the belly. Your bottom might sag. Honey, these are just some of the truths of motherhood that happen to some people not. And so you understand, so that's what I'm saying. It's not all bizarre. You understand someone wanting to have that mummy maker and get back, but it's very costly. And so if you're going to a place and you're traveling out of the country, even traveling in the country, like some of those one-stop shops in Miami, yeah, I'm gonna call out Miami-Dade because y'all have a lot of the high volume and low budget clinics. And, you know, you don't have the same follow-up, right? A lot of times you leave the person who did the surgery and other surgeons aren't really going to want to follow up. Plus, you may have saved all of your money and paid cash out of pocket, and you don't have money to go to a board-certified plastic surgeon when you get back into town and you have complications. And the other thing about surgeons, a lot of surgeons don't like to go behind other surgeons. That's just the honest truth, because they know that even if they go in and try to fix it, then you might say, okay, you're the one who's here. I'm suing you if something goes wrong, even if the original problem was caused by somebody in Turkey or in Mexico or wherever you went to have your BBL. So, yeah, so I'm glad that your friend is doing better. I'm glad that she got better from the sepsis, because the truth of the matter is sepsis, which is an overwhelming infection in the body, can take your life. And we talked about it right here a couple of weeks ago, where another set of sisters went out of their town to have their BBLs and their cosmetic surgery done. And one of the sisters didn't make it back. She passed away. Yeah. All right. So thank you for sharing, Curly Coils. Thank you for sharing. Make sure you give us a follow on IG. Now we're almost up to 50,000 followers on IG. Here on YouTube, we made it. We're over 850,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for everyone who supports us. You know, I appreciate y'all. All right. Any more comments on BBLs? If they come up as you're thinking, replay crew, everyone, you go ahead and put them in. The bottom line, go to a board certified plastic surgeon and make sure it's an accredited facility. And if you have any BBL questions, like in general, like about the fat necrosis or the procedure or what it is to have a mummy makeover, you can put those in the chat and we'll take a couple of those. If you want to have a whole session of a members only live Q&A, then you know what to do. Coming over to YouTube, click the link in the description, join the members. And so not only do we do monthly members only live Q&As where I talk about answer your medical questions, things that you normally would have to pay to have a consultation for. I'll give you my input. I'll give you information. What I say does not replace the advice of your actual physician, but I'll give you some information that you probably, many people don't have a privy, one-on-one, just right at the click of a link conversation with a physician who's as nosy as I am, who likes to read as much as I am, who has as many board certifications as I've had. So please take advantage of it. Please take advantage, because I love answering questions and helping you to advocate for yourselves. And we'll also have the members only videos. Once you join, you can go back for months and months, all of the members only videos that I've done. And again, you get the first look, because we dropped one today where only our members, our chief resident members, will have a first look at a video that I'll release to everyone else a little later. All right. Anything else before we move on?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about Trump, because y'all know I stay tussling with Trump in these comments and in these lives also. Okay. So President Trump, who has famously been putting tariffs on everywhere, he's just waking up and just belching out tariffs, so it seems. And well, now he has another bright idea. He wants to place tariffs on pharmaceutical companies to try to encourage them to make more supplies within the states. Well, here's the issue. We get a lot of our medical supplies from other countries, and that does help us to cut the costs of medicine. And so let's just see if we can play this clip. Is this in the form of a clip, Shador?
It is.
Okay, let's see what President Trump is talking about.
We have to do. We're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals, and once we do that, they're going to come rushing back into our country because we're the big market. The advantage we have over everybody is that we're the big market. So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals.
This would be a 25% tariff on pharmaceuticals. So this would raise prices on pharmaceuticals by 15% on average.
When pharmaceutical prices go up because of a tariff on a drug that's imported into the United States, those co-pays may still be the same. The challenge now becomes how insurance companies are able to cover the additional costs. A couple of consequences may come out of this, is that certain drugs are covered, other drugs that are imported from outside of the country are not, simply because we can't afford to add higher priced drugs to a formulary for a pharmacy under budget constraints.
Okay. So y'all know I move about life trying to control what I can control. But now he's talking about pharmaceuticals, and that's about to potentially impact my patients directly. Please put in the comments, please put in the chat if you're someone who's on medication, if you have a loved one on a medication, and if you have concerns of what will happen if there are some tariffs added to pharmaceutical companies or charging 25%. Do you think that Trump is correct, that people will come running and flooding business back into the United States? Or do you think that there will be an increase and you might be in a situation where you or your loved one can't even afford their medication? And if you think that he's right, even if he's right eventually, how many years will it take for you to be without medication? Okay. If you're without your heart medication, it could be a matter of months before that takes you out, right? If you're without your high blood pressure medication, it could be a matter of a week. It could be pretty soon where that blood pressure shoots up because you couldn't afford your medication. So please comment how you think this might affect you or your loved ones. And speaking of blood pressure, I do have a book that I want you to check out, Under Pressure, A Guide to Controlling High Blood Pressure. In this book, I talk about ways to manage blood pressures. I mentioned that I'm a board certified kidney and high blood pressure doctor. And so I talk about not only using medicine, some of these medicines that might have a tariff on them soon to control blood pressure, but also I talk about natural, holistic ways to lower blood pressure. So with exercise, with diet, with meditation, certainly using food as medicine. So please make sure you check it out. You can click the link in the description here, or you can go to drfrita.com, DRFRIT, as in take care of yourself. That's a one-stop shop to find everything Dr. Frita, my videos, my television appearances, my book, my favorite things, including my juicer, my Nama J2 juicer, where I give you a discount code. All right. So while I'm waiting to see if anyone comments about medicines, Shador, I do want to just highlight some of the issues and the concerns. So yes, if there is a tariff that's placed on the medical supplies, as mentioned, that can be felt by the consumer, by those of us who are purchasing the medications. The average household in the United States spends $4,200 a year on medicine. And that's not all out of pocket, Shador. You know, some of that is covered by insurance companies. But if we have tariffs, that could increase the household cost to $600 per year. And as someone talked about, even if some of that is covered by insurance companies, they have to cover themselves also. And so we're talking about an increase in insurance premiums potentially. Now, people who are very wealthy or, you know, high up in the middle class, this may not bother them. Maybe they can wait out 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, however long it takes for Trump's potential plan to work. But if you're someone who's already, you know, scraping and living paycheck to paycheck, and you can already barely afford your medicine, you're already taking pills every other day because you can't afford to take them every day. Well, as soon as these prices increase, or as soon as a premium increases, that might leave you without health care right here in the United States. So this is a problem. This is a problem. Anyone in the chat have any comments, Shador?
Yes. Trilia.
Hi, Trilia.
She said, I will not be able to afford my medicine.
That's a real deal, right? Because, you know, and where are you watching from? Yeah, folks in the chat, put where you're watching from, please. Because if you're from here in the United States, then we are supposed to be the leaders of the free world, right? High income country. How sad would it be if our very own can't afford medications? So I'll keep you all posted. I hope that this doesn't come to pass.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Arlene, she says, I have concerns because my medications will increase. I do have coverage for my medications, but my copay will increase.
Exactly. So even if your insurance companies absorb the cost, then your copays might increase or your insurance premium might increase, you know, and you might be in a position where you can handle it right off, or maybe you can cut corners here or there, but everyone's not in that position, right? So it's something that we should all be concerned with, even if we're in a position.
Mm-hmm. And Tria, she's chiming in from Omaha, and Miss Elaine from Georgia here.
Okay.
Miss Carol.
Omaha. Why do I think about Omaha steaks? Y'all, I know y'all got more than Omaha steaks going on. Thank you for watching.
Miss Carol says, I have major concerns because I have a family member on several meds.
And, you know, and we've talked about it here also, like, even for me, my son was on a certain medication. I think it might have been a $10 copay. My insurance company decided, okay, that medicine's going to have a $500 copay. It was an asthma medication. We covered the story here on the live, how there was a young man who couldn't afford his $500 copay because there was a change. And he actually passed away from asthma. And so we're talking life or death in a lot of situations when it comes to medication costs. So
and from IG, Jones says,
hi, Jones. Hey, welcome from IG.
My son is insulin dependent.
And, you know, fortunately, at least with the previous administration, we had some caps where they were like, you know, we're not going to charge more than $30 a month. And that was only for certain people. But I know with the previous administration, they were talking about trickling it down for everyone to have certain caps for insulin. I don't know what's going to happen with the current administration. Okay. If Trump wants to put tariffs on and if prices go up, then there are going to be people with diabetes who simply cannot afford their insulin. I've been on trips traveling with friends, and I've had friends who used to purchase insulin for their family medicines out of the country. I'm not saying that's right. I don't recommend it. But when you have people who are faced with, my family member can afford the medicine or not, and if the answer is not, then they'll do desperate things, and then we get into the situation where we don't necessarily know how medications are regulated when they don't come from us. Yeah. All right, Shador. Anyone else?
No, ma'am.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap up. Before we do, we'll do a quick 5-minute health check. We'll do that. And then Shador, if there are a couple of quick little questions, then we'll answer those. But if you really want to ask your questions, go back and forth with me for an entire session, make sure you join our membership at the highest tier. Also, if ever you want to have a consultation with me one-on-one, I do offer a concierge telehealth service where we can have a consultation from anywhere in the world. We've been having really great results with that. I'll take a full history and I'll give you information. Perhaps if your doctor is telling you something, you just want to run it by me, get a fresh opinion, a second opinion. I'm very happy to do that. And certainly if you want to talk about kidney issues, high blood pressure, natural ways to lower your diabetes, natural ways to lower blood pressure. If you want to talk about, I can talk about a wide range of issues. But yeah, check us out at our telehealth service. You can click the link in our description, or again, my one-stop shop, drfrita.com. Also, listen, do y'all like podcasts? Because I got a podcast, Healthy Happy Life with Dr. Frita. And so please make sure you check out our podcast. We're on Google, we're on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And please give us a 5-star rating. But yes, you can check us out while you're walking the dog, while you're jogging, while you're folding clothes, and you can just listen to us instead of always looking at our faces. So yeah, check out our podcast. All right, Shador, shall we do the 5-minute health check?
Yes. All right. Recall health alert. FDA says these Tostitos are dangerous.
Okay, y'all, we had a little bit of a mess. So there was a mix-up where some Tostitos and some Frito-Lay products actually had real cheese and real milk. And so if you're someone who has a milk allergy, then this could be something that's fatal. If it's not labeled that it has milk and you eat it and it's real cheese made with milk, then you could pass away. And so there's been a recall. I know in some places Frito-Lay took 6,300 bags off of the shelf. So if you're someone with a milk allergy and you eat Tostitos or Frito-Lay products, please go ahead and check and find out if your product is one that's been recalled.
Is your child's daycare drugging them?
Child, now this is a mess. So, and we've talked about this before on this live. Y'all children are loud and rowdy, and for nap time, they be like, what nap? Well, some daycares have taken things into their own hands and they've given melatonin to children without permission, okay, which is a hot mess. So the melatonin has been given and, sometimes it can be in the form of a sticker and they want the kids to go to sleep. And so they've taken it upon themselves to drug your child. And so there've been different places with investigations looking for melatonin toxicity. Fortunately, melatonin toxicity is not something that's very common, but if you have a child who has some underlying medical condition, or if they are on a different medication, or if they don't have anything wrong with them, but you just want to be in control of what medication or supplement goes into your child's body, this is a problem. So make sure you research whatever daycare facility your child is in and ask the doctors or ask the teachers, or just make it clear, do not give my child melatonin. You should not have to say that, but this is a real thing. Just one more thing to be careful about when it comes to your kid.
Are your favorite diet drinks slowly giving you diabetes?
Now, when y'all drink diet drinks, the whole point is to have low sugar, right? And to decrease your risk for diabetes. Well, Lord help us. There's been a study showing that some of the additives, some of the artificial ingredients, some of the ultra processed ingredients in certain diet drinks can increase your risk for diabetes by up to 13%. Now, isn't that just an oxymoronic, paradoxical mess? So be very careful. Nothing is without side effects. And we've talked about it here on this YouTube live before, that even some artificial sweeteners can have, issues, can even increase your risk for diabetes. So you're probably thinking, what in the world should I do? What should I do? You may want to look into avoiding sugar and avoiding artificial sweeteners. We know that sodas have a lot of ultra processed ingredients, and ultra processed foods not only can increase your risk for diabetes, they can increase your risk for living with obesity, increase your risk for heart disease, increase your risk for being unalive at an earlier age. So do your best to eat in a way that's whole with real food. And I know that's easier said than done because it's expensive, right? It's expensive to eat whole foods. But it's not expensive? Water. Water has 0 calories. So that's something that I would recommend. And make sure you check out my YouTube video, The Benefits of Drinking Water, right here on this YouTube channel after you finish watching this video. All right. So that's it for our 5-minute health check. I thank you to everyone who has joined us here on the live YouTube. Again, we're up to over 850,000 subscribers on the Dr. Frita YouTube. I thank you to everyone who subscribes. If you are not a subscriber, please come join the party. We have hundreds of videos filled with evidence-based information. Also, I share different television appearances I do on national news shows like News Nation. HLN is on there. The Emmy award-winning Paternity Court. Okay, I have several appearances on there. Also here in Atlanta, Good Day Atlanta from Fox 5 Atlanta, and 11 Alive News. I have all of those on there. And Portia, the Portia Show. Ooh, tomorrow. I have another episode where I'm on the Portia Show that airs on April 15th. So please, as soon as this live is over, Google Portia Show, PORTIA. Find out how to watch it. If you're local here, you can watch it on Fox 5 Atlanta. But even from anywhere in the world, it streams on Fox Soul. So I will be on the Portia Show tomorrow. And stay tuned. I'll post that on my Instagram, on my Facebook, on my LinkedIn, on my TikTok. Make sure you follow me on all platforms because in different places, I'll let you know what's going on. And again, today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing an interesting fun live where we're talking about RHOA. Yes, I'll talk about some of the medical topics that have been brought up on RHOA, like osteogenesis imperfecta, strokes, blood clots. But I have my friend Tamara Oyenloye, who is an attorney at large, and we'll be talking about some of the other questions y'all have had and have been asking me. What is revenge P? What are the implications for someone who's underaged in revenge P? And what is a threat if you're threatening someone with a weapon? What constitutes a threat, and what are the legal ramifications? All right. So as we slide out of the door, anything else, Shador?
No, that's Frita.
All right. All right. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you here on YouTube. Thank you on Facebook. Thank you on Instagram. And hello to my replay crew. Make sure you give us a like and a share as well. And we will see you next Monday. Same bat time, same bat place. I'm Dr. Frita. This is Medical Monday. Thank you, Shador. And thank you to everyone for your support.